Steve Barrow, do you enjoy a friendly wager now and then? If so, what sort of stakes would you consider fair for the October 14th matchup between my fighting Texas Aggies and your Gators? I've never, ever been a betting man. I don't actually think I've ever made a bet in my life. I don't believe I've ever bet. Oh, that's not true. Hold on. That's absolutely not true. That's the basis of an awesome story. I did. I made a bet when I was 14. I made a bet. I hadn't thought about this in a long, long time. I'm not a betting guy. I'm sorry, whose question was that? Where is it? Oh, sorry, Steve. It's our friend Steve Darrow. Oh, and by the way, Steve is the guy who got us that wonderful scotch and that unbelievable vodka. Tasha says hi. I say so too. We would have crawled up to the phone and called you that night, but we were just we just couldn't do it. So no, I don't bet. And as far as the Aggies and the Gators go, a few years ago I would have said, hang on. As it turns out. The Gators just come and go. I'm not going to waste any time with that, but I will tell you this quick little story because it's fun. I haven't thought of this in a long time. I was 13 or 14. I think it's probably 14 years old. And as a measure, Ian and the rest of you out there, of my unbelievable social skills and the richness and fullness of my young life, that pretty much every night, and certainly on weekends, Friday and Saturday, I would stop working in the planetarium and I would go up to the observatory. And I'd spend my entire Friday and Saturday nights up at the Southern Cross Observatory on the roof of the Museum of Science and Space Transit Planetarium in Miami. And people would come to see the planetarium shows at night, and afterwards they'd come up and we'd show them things through the telescope. And I really liked it because I was around people who were 10 or 15 years older than me and very, very, very smart, and they treated me like an equal, so that's where I was. In any event, one of these people who I didn't know very well and I were talking, and we were talking, I was 14, I know this for an absolute fact. I was talking about German tanks of World War II, and he had a picture. There's no internet then because we could have resolved this right away. And he had a picture of something, and he said that this is a Panzer IV, and I said no, it's not. It's a Panther. It's a Panther tank. He said, you want to bet? And I said, well, what do you want to bet? He said, I'll bet you my paycheck against your paycheck that you're wrong. I was part-time kid. I was struggling, but I knew I was right. I was absolutely 100% positive that I was right. So I said, yeah, okay. And I brought up the evidence the next Friday, and he was there, and it was adjudicated by a tribunal of honest men, and was genuinely, absolutely agreed that I was right, and he never paid me. Which is, I don't know, maybe it's not surprising, but I'll tell you one thing, I would have paid him if I was wrong. And I think that's probably when you realize there are people who are honest and there are people who aren't. He caught a lot of grief from the rest of the guys up there, from my friends, as saying, you bet him. And he shook your hand and you shook his hand, and he said he was sure and you said you were sure. And he was right and you were wrong, and you need to pay up, and he didn't do it. My dad had a particular revulsion for Welchers. Now, my dad played a lot of poker. He was a very good poker player. But I remember him having a very special place in his heart for Welchers, for people who make a bet, and then when they lose the bet, they don't pay up. He really, really thought that was the absolute depth of dishonor, and I think there's probably something to that. Okay, let's see here.